All right. So I just have some questions for you about your experience in Client Siren. I have questions about what you have created and, the process, like the journey you went through, like moving from initially stepping in, wanting to grow the human design piece and more readings and all that, and then shifting gears into this other work that like immediately like started to just really fucking work. It's so cool to see. So let's just start there. If that's cool with you. Like, tell me a little bit about who you are. Some of this might be go public. So whatever we start with now will probably be the public piece, like on YouTube and reels and things. And then if there's anything you want to share privately, we can do that at the end. But let's start out. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what you stepped in to Client Siren wanting to do and create, and then what ended up happening instead.
Yeah, because it's kind of two different things. Yeah, so a little bit of background about me. I've actually been studying astrology for like close to 20 years. I initially set out to disprove it to myself, but so I was like, okay, I'm going to learn about it. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't make sense, and then I'm going to go about my life. In astrology, we call that the skeptic to astrologer pipeline because almost nobody who sets out to disprove it to themselves actually succeeds. Yeah, I turned into an astrologer. And so I've been following transits and, planetary cycles and things like that since the mid 2000s, probably 2007, 2008. But I didn't really consider it to be a career path until probably the last 4 or 5 years. I think around the pandemic, everybody kind of went through this phase where we were, turning more inwards, getting more in touch with our spirituality, I think was something we kind of saw pretty widely because we also had the Jupiter Neptune conjunction in Pisces at that time. I think it was in 2022 or 2023. And so, it was really just like this call kept getting louder and louder for me. But then so that was the internal part. The external facing the world, the version of me that the world saw, went through a career transition in 2018 and became a software engineer. So I had been working in a job that I hated and dabbling in making websites, doing this and that, and like, oh, hey, I kind of actually like this coding stuff. And so then when I lost my job in 2016 or 2017, I went to a boot camp, dove headfirst into learning how to code, realized that I was actually like really freaking good at it. Walked out of boot camp, walked into a software engineering job with Starbucks. Yeah, I spent 7 years at Starbucks working on the iOS app, so the iPhone app that everybody uses to order their coffee. I mean, remember this was 2018, right? We're pre-boycott. Like, yes, I live in Seattle, so we still like to shit on Starbucks coffee, but like the Starbucks culture in the corporate world was very different at that time. And so it was really just like a dream come true because I had this like team of, more senior engineers helping me grow. I learned really fast. I got promoted really quickly. I went from being an entry level engineer to being a level 2, then senior within 3 years. And then a role opened up on an adjacent team that had a little bit more visibility to like the rest of the ecosystem. Like, how does the software system, like, how do you place an order for coffee at Starbucks, right? And so I kind of moved backwards off of the app itself onto the server side, and took a lead engineer role with this team. And I worked there for 3 years. And really, like, the platform that I was leading is the mobile order and pay engine, like the thing that takes your coffee order, like tells you what stores are open. It takes your coffee order. It helps you reload your car. Like all of these things that people would use the Starbucks app for. My application, the engineers that I was leading, what we're responsible for, which was great when things worked. And then when things didn't work, we were the ones on the hook for fixing it. So I can't tell you how many times I have been in like We call them a war room. It's just like a group, it's a big, like an incident response meeting on Microsoft Teams. And there's, you look through the sidebar and there's 60 people in there and everybody's just like heads down trying to figure out like, what the heck, why is this down? Like the worst would have been like Red Cup Day. So if you're familiar with the Starbucks Red Cup Day promotions, on the day of the holiday launch, they would also be giving away these like reusable red plastic cups, and everybody lost their shit over them. So the traffic would spike to the app, something would go down, and we would spend the rest of the day like trying to figure out how, why it had broken and how to get it back online. Um, and again, I like it turns out that I'm actually just kind of really good at that. Like I'm cool under pressure. I'm able to problem solve. I'm not going to take it personally. I'm not having panic attacks under the, well, I mean, I'm definitely like hyperventilating a little bit, but I had to, there were some incidents where like I was the one who was responsible for, not that it was my fault that things had fallen apart, but that my application was the last one to come back online. And I had to go in there and like, like do hacker shit, like literally like going in within in a terminal and going in and like trying to like deleting log storage and stuff to try to get like reduce memory pressure to get the application to come back up. um and the thing that I noticed, right, as an astrologer, is that Mercury retrograde, Mercury conjunct Uranus, like Mercury conjunct Mars, like all of these things always happened with the incidents. And I was just sitting there like I can't say anything, but I'm noticing like, and I'm correlating these, like I'm just like, maybe we shouldn't have tried to launch that when Mercury was conjunct Uranus, or like did we consider not doing this during the Mercury retrograde period? And just like the number of things that really kept happening in corporate that correlated with the planets was just like, do you guys have an astrologer on staff? Because you need one. But yeah, so that kind of, I think I really I enjoyed that role a lot. The last 3 years, the last 3 years I was there, things kind of tended like started getting more and more painful as I think the wider world of corporate America has started just becoming horrible. Like private equity bought up a large number of shares in the company and started to make demands on all sorts of things. They do the union busting. They do like I mean, like the union busting is a big one, but like all of the return to office, they started to make us try to go into the office again. I'm like undiagnosed ADHD probably, and do not function well in an open office. Like before we like went remote, I had a designated desk. I knew how I sat next to. It was close to a window. It was near, it was near the edge. And then they made us go back into the office, and it was just like, you just find yourself a desk every day. Like, just go find a desk. You don't know who you're sitting next to. You can hear other people on the, like, it was just a sensory nightmare. And so I just refused to go in. And that eventually caught up with me, and they gave me an ultimatum, and then I told them to go fuck themselves. Not in so many words, but basically like, okay, you're pushing out your best people because of these stupid policies. Like I told them very, very bluntly, like, this is not, you're not making a good business decision. You're really shooting yourself in the foot. And who drinks Starbucks anymore? Like, but yeah, so when I walked out, that would have been in May of 2025. My plan was really to take my side business of my, human design education and astrology work full time. And that was what I tried to do. So a little bit about my human design work is a little bit tangential, but we'll kind of steer over there. When I first encountered human design, which was through the Gene Keys, I found the Gene Keys to be this beautiful, poetic, transformative work that just described me to a T. Like my Gene Key 54, conscious sun of greed, ambition, and like, so it's the shadow of greed, the gift of aspiration, and the city of ascension. Like that just encapsulated me so perfectly, like all of these patterns that I've had throughout my life. And I wrote about that in the introduction to my book. So I wrote this book that was just a well, so I'm jumping all over the place. So I started learning human design because I realized I couldn't understand the gene keys without it. And what I found when I like the deeper I dug in was that like some things were really just purposefully hidden and purposefully made more confusing than they needed to be. And I couldn't just find like basic ass information, like where does the gate start? Where does the gate end? Like degree, minute, second of the sign. I couldn't even find that information until like I found like I had to I literally had to like reverse engineer it. So I built an app for myself to understand human design. I built a chart calculator, and kind of helped wrap my brain around that. And I decided to write a book that was it's just a study guide. It's really just puts all of the stuff that you need about a single gene key, a single gate on one page because I couldn't find that anywhere. And I had made all these notes myself, and then I was just like, well, maybe other people could use this, which is turning out to be a theme. So like I made it for myself, and then I was like, oh, maybe other people would find this helpful. Um, and then right after I published it, so the thing that I was the most nervous about was the actual gate, like the degree, minute, second um, boundaries of the gates. And I couldn't find anywhere online. And I just had to extrapolate and I had to guess and I had to reverse engineer it. And then the day after I published the book, I found somebody online who actually publishes a human design ephemeris. And so I ordered the ephemeris immediately. And fortunately, I had accurately like reverse engineered those line like the boundaries. But that sent me on a whole different thing because I started getting his emails, and then I was just like, "Whoa, what's going on?" So he like one of the emails that I got from him was like, "Why manifesting generators are bullshit" or something like that. And I was just like, oh, this guy doesn't believe in manifesting generators. Maybe he's one of those like you're either a generator or you're a manifester. But then I read on and he was just like, no, this is a caste system enforced by Ra to create a indentured servants and enforce a pyramid scheme. And so I was just like, wait, what? But I dug in and I realized that he was actually Ra Uruhu's first teacher in the United States, had been the one who brought human design to the United States, and had he and his partner at the time had built this whole education platform about how the original human design transmission worked. And then Ra Uruhu was like using them for, basically like staying with them for months at a time and then disappearing and like abusing them, being verbally like being a horrible person. And then he disappeared in 2000 or in 1996, came back and said, okay, forget everything I ever told you earlier. Now it's all about type and strategy and authority. And they were just like, wait, what? Where did this come from? And so he like eventually split from Ra Uru, got excommunicated, very effectively got like erased from the history books. And now he lives as a hermit in the Himalayas, like literally. So I found this teacher. I studied with him a little bit, kind of got my head around like, okay, the human design is actually this beautiful system for understanding our energy flow and how our centers connect, how our centers defined, whether we're single definition or split definition, whether we have a design to do, a design to wait. And I wrote I like laid out a course on all about how to like learn your energy. And I was going to launch it, and then I launched it, and then I just had been going through all these platform struggles, like the tech. Can we talk about the tech, right? What platforms do we have? Like if you want to build a course and you want to host your course, you can pay $300 a month for Kajabi. You can pay $1,200 a year for Mighty Networks. Or you can piece it together. Like you can do Teachable is also ungodly expensive. And everything that I had tried, just the user experience, just like the experience of using the software was so like it drove me crazy, right? And it was just so frustrating. Um, I eventually ended up on one of these all-in-one. It's like a go high level white label, kind of like Funnel Gorgeous or Ivory, things like that. And it worked for most things. It would let you schedule. It would let you have a client portal. It would let you have courses. But everything was just like 10 times harder than it needed to be. And just the vibes of the platform were very marketing bro. Like it was very like, here's your funnel, here's the first page of your funnel, and then the next page of your funnel, and you get people to click. And I realized that people were not actually intending to buy the things that they bought, and they would get pissed off and they would email me, and I was just like, you clicked the button like, yes, add this to my order. And I ended up having to do so many refunds and so many like repair that it was just draining my energy. And so I like, it got to this point where I couldn't even work on my business because I didn't vibe with the platform that my business was built on. And so yeah, there was just this like, what the fuck do I do? And I think this is about the time where I joined Client Siren. And you know, being in that environment, honestly, I have to admit, I didn't really get very far with the coursework, but just being in the container with everybody was so it was just so invigorating and so validating. And I don't honestly even remember what the like what the spark was, but I was cleaning off note cards on my desk and I had written down, can I build a better platform for myself? And it turned out it started off as just a total side quest. I was actually inspired by Aaron and their side quest like challenge, even though I didn't even join the challenge. I was just like, yeah, well, I'm going to do a side quest. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to build a website for myself, and it's going to have a place to host my course, and it's going to have the ability to schedule with me, and you know, all of these things that I needed for my own business. But what if I made it so that other people could use it too? Right? Maybe I should just yeah, let's just see how this goes. And yeah, like the rest is history. So I got a very like a quick and you know somewhat rough version of the you know the minimum viable product, the MVP that we talk about in tech, and I started showing it to a couple people. Samar was the first person I showed it to, and Samar was just like, when can I pay you to get this? Like I shut like the first 5 or 6 demos I did were literally just shut up and take my money. So so that was enough signal that I needed to really just kind of go head first into it. And yeah, now I've been working on it like ADHD hyper focus for the last like 5-6 months now. And yeah, it's grown, it's getting yeah, yeah, it's really exciting.
Yes, that is so exciting. And I mean, there's just so much of what you said that I really resonate with. All, you know, from the beginning of like how many people I've worked with and myself included, like kind of were thrust into our businesses through like holding our boundaries and saying no to weird mistreatment and just bullshit in our former jobs. And like how many of us were just like pushed into this. You know, I like didn't even think I was ready to do my business. I was like, I was like behind the scenes, like working on my SEO and stuff. And I just had a bunch of things started to like stack from me working on my own SEO. And then I was the SEO manager at the fucking company. And then I had to report on my own website as a new competitor. And I was like, oh my God, I actually can't go to this next meeting where I'm going to have to talk about like who's at the top of Google. And it's actually just me now. So I literally have to quit, you know, and then a weird client meeting. And then my boss just making like completely unhinged requests. I mean, you've probably heard me talk about it before. Like I called out sick one day, texted her, I was like, I'm really sick, I can't come in. Went in the next day anyway. And she had an all staff meeting that was like, from now on, like, if you want to take a day off, you need to call me, not text me, and ask me for permission. And I will tell you yes or no, whether or not you can come in, you can stay home or not. And I was just like, oh, like, who the fuck do you think you are? You're crazy. No. You're crazy. I just immediately quit. Like, you know, it was such a wild thing, but I needed all of those things to stack up at once to actually influence me to move. And I feel like that is such a spirit of the folks who find themselves in our little corner of the world and then building our brands and businesses out of like necessity. And also just, yeah, it is a little bit of like a fuck you act of resistance and rebellion. And I just love to say that. And also piece around like, the coursework, that is how I am too. I mean, I have ADHD, and like sometimes I will join stuff that has like so much material and so many modules and things, and I'm like, all I actually needed was the activation of jumping into the space, feeling what the collective energy is, and then taking that and making movement based on like what is just going on within the space. And I interviewed
Yes.
Risden yesterday, and Risden was like, if I had to energetically describe Client Siren to me, like it really wasn't even about the strategy. It was about like the fire that I felt. Like it literally just like lit a fire underneath me, and that I needed that fire to help me actually make movement and start doing things that I really wanted to do, whether it's, social media, whatever. And I just love that you're reflecting that, because that's how I engage with literally fucking everything. I'm like, I don't even need to know. I don't even need to get in here. I got what I needed out of that. And I love, the inspo with Aaron. And I also feel like Aaron was someone who had that similar experience of coming in thinking they're going to grow their brand in one direction, being like, I'm going to, do astrology readings and focus on creatives. And it was like, wait, I actually have this wild experience as a fucking educator and a teacher. And like, obviously, I'm going to teach facilitation, and having, their biggest workshop launch from actually honing in on their zone of genius. So I just love that happened for you too. And just really inspiring, and all the folks that are inside. I just feel like you created something like really, really unique and so needed and necessary. And I really do feel like the best offers are the things you need. It's like, I wish this existed for me, so I must build the thing.
Yep.
Yes. So good. So good. Okay. I have some more questions for you. Like, before stepping inside, like what did you feel like you needed? And then what did you realize maybe you actually needed instead?
Yeah. I think that before I stepped in, what I thought I needed was to just be more visible and to put myself out on social media more, create more content, be more consistent with my YouTube channel, just keep talking about it, which as somebody, I mean, I'm sure you experience this too, but like I'm always changing, I'm always evolving my interests. My interests are constantly changing. And by the time I finish a project and put it out into the world, I'm like on to the next. Like I'm bored with that. And so the idea of like being the one who's talking, and I still do, like I still get fired up about human design, and I will like rant about how it's gotten twisted into this like cult of basically mind control to anyone who will listen all the time. But when that's like my whole brand, I started to feel a little like limited by it, and I had been in this former in a business incubator that was, kind of responsible for drawing the book out of me and for getting me set up on this other platform and everything. And his whole thing was just like, you gotta just focus on it for a year, and then you can start adding on other things. And so I did. I focused on it for a year, and then it just it didn't flow. And I think with so the other piece of the other a couple other like fragments that are coming in are like I have like a pretty extensive Gene Keys education through Mari Henning through her the Master Key program, which is amazing and beautiful. And the Gene Keys, which is such a powerful and personal and important transmission to myself, is also something that has to be self-guided. And so I can stand there on the street corner and say, hey, come do your shadow work with me. Let's go, let's go deep in our psyche and see why we have our shadows. But that it felt like, it feels like trying to like spoon feed medicine to people sometimes. And so, some people have that depth, that gravity that brings people in. Like Samar is an example of somebody who just, you meet Samar and you're just like, yes, I do need to investigate my shadows. Please help me. But I guess I just don't really have that hand holding and nurturer, but like dark nurturer archetype, I guess. And I do still want to like, so I went through the process of getting certified. Sorry, they don't like you to call it a certification, becoming a Gene Keys guide through the Gene Keys Limited program. And I did that right about, I think, almost about the same time as I jumped into Client Siren. And like, I'm still proud of that. And I want to use that work. And I would like to lead people through the Gene Keys, but there's just no way that that can be a full-time gig, right? Because it's so it has to be such an individual transmission, and I don't want to have the pressure of being like, okay, well, let me charge enough for this so that I can pay my bills while we're going through this, because again, my life's work shadow is greed, right? So I feel like I'm here, give me the money, give me the money. Yeah, and so like coming into Client Siren, I thought that I just needed to be more consistent. I needed to let myself be more visible, continue to get the message out there when the message was just not something that I was really feeling that like it just felt fake at a certain point. It felt like I had to perform this version of myself to attract clients and to get people to come into my world. And after Client Siren, now it's really just about like letting the work flow. It was really about stepping out of the way and really kind of getting in touch with like, if I were the universe and I was looking at me like this person with these skills, these resources, these abilities, these connections, what would I want me to do to make the universe a better place? And because like software engineering is so natural to me, it just comes, it's so easy. It's just like I constantly feel like I'm just like Elle Woods, like what? Like it's hard when I show people these features that I built. Oh, well, yeah, like it's hard. Like Capricorn South Node, yeah, I just shit out structures for business. Like that's just, what, like it's hard. So yeah, it's really about getting out of the way and out of my head and stepping back and allowing the universe to use me as a vessel to create what needs to be created.
Oh my God, that's so good. It's so like so casual. That really is what it is. It really is like that is the fucking work, and honestly the ease, and like it's like fun and easy, and I feel like when you can tap into that like neurodivergent, like I'm fucking up all night like mad scientist, like I'm creating this thing because I'm excited about it, and it's just like yeah, it's just
Mm-hmm.
flowing, and it's like I just feel like it's just like waterfall. You just can't stop it. Like once the right thing lands, it's just like oh my God, this thing is here, and I just have to give it space to like do what it wants, and the work just emerges through you. And I really, really agree. And I feel like that is super common of like, I thought I just had to fucking post more. And like the repetition,
Mm-hmm.
it's about, yeah, we were talking about a lot about repetition, but it's like, yeah, you just get consistent and the more you just fucking put into it, the more reps you put in, then you will get the payoff. But sometimes it really is not that if it's not feeling like, you are encompassing all of you. And I just love like the quickness in which things shift when you just lock in with the right thing and let the right
Yeah.
work come through you. So that is really, really beautiful. And I think really helpful for a lot of people to hear too, because a lot of folks tend to be like just fucking like hitting a wall with these things. They're like, well, I thought I had to do this and I thought I had to show up this way. And like I thought I had to build my business that in this kind of structure. And it's just like free yourself from that and let
Right.
the authentic expression and work emerge from that. And wow, like what kind of people do you feel are coming to you now?
Um, hmm. That's yeah, it's really pretty diverse, I would say. People who are coming into my world now, the common thread is that they're all really frustrated by the tech side of things. One, like, I mean, whether they're coming from, trying to stitch together like a link in bio and a Calendly and a Zoom and, their calendar and all of it, trying to make all of those tech tools work together. Or they're coming from, a big all-in-one platform that just the vibes are feeling really icky. I think a lot of people, one of the most like powerful pieces of feedback that I've gotten from folks who've joined the platform is that it is so much more intentional
Mm.
in the way that you are thinking about your offers and your presence, and even the website builder. I did not want to build just like a clone of another, like I didn't want to like take Squarespace and Flowdesk and Kajabi or whatever and just stick them all in one program. I wanted it to work simply and easily and intentionally and powerfully. So it's been this delicate balance of walking this line between like creating software that is really powerful and can handle whatever the power users are going to throw at it, and is not overwhelming and is approachable for people who are more tech newbies or less tech savvy. And that's been, honestly, I think the majority of the people who have not ended up, like the people who bounced from the program or from the platform, are usually people who were feeling overwhelmed,
Mm.
or it just wasn't mature enough, which is totally fair. I think the common thread, sorry, my dog is barking. Can you hear her?
No, I can't hear
Okay,
you.
good. Okay. I think the mail is here. The common thread, though, is that everybody is fed up with extractionist, like
Mm.
capitalist, software that's going to be either already owned by VC or will get sold out to VC or private equity. I mean, I think we've seen that a lot with Squarespace lately, because they sold out to private equity a while ago, but it's like starting to show up in they're raising their rates, they're not improving service. Their platform is down a lot. And yeah, I think everybody is looking for a more equitable, regenerative, like community-led, community-driven solution, and that's what I'm providing. So yeah.
I love it. And yeah, it's been really cool to see, folks inside your Telegram just like really excited and like it's just so cool because it's just the beginning and like the potential is just endless for like where this could go and how much this can support you. And I'm sure that this has had like such an impact on like your confidence and like how you see yourself. I don't know. Can you tell me a little bit about like how you see the person who was, how you see the person you were before and like the person that you are now and in general, and then how that relates to like how you are showing up in your business, in your marketing, in yourself.
Yeah. Um, so the thing that always comes to mind when I think about this is the Steve Jobs quote in that Stanford University commencement address that he gave in 2005, which sidebar, I was part of the Stanford University class of 2005 and I dropped out in 2003. So that would have been my commencement speech. But the quote that sticks with me from that speech is that you can never connect the dots looking forward. You can
Mm.
only connect the dots looking backward. And so when I look back on my experience as a high school astronaut wannabe, trying to go into the aerospace industry after 9/11 and realizing that I don't want to work for the war machine. My experience studying art and product design after that, dropping out and realizing that, the constant thread of being the seeker and looking for the depth and trying to find like the bigger picture and the meaning. But then even just like practical experience, like the time that I spent working sales and marketing in a bike shop, right? I know how to talk to people. I know how to communicate. I know how to sell. I know how to repair. I know how to do customer service. And of course, I have all of the tech skills and all of the, engineering, software engineering lifecycle, QA, product management, like all of these things that I also kind of package together. It the the depth of experience that this vessel, this human experience has lived, is uniquely suited to be the one who's doing this work right now. I don't know what else to say beyond that. Like that, it's just, this is the work for me. I'm sure it will evolve further and it will deepen, and other things will make sense. But like every one of those dots in my rearview mirror is starting to line up and to make sense here.
Oh my God, yes. Like that really is it. I didn't realize Steve Jobs said that, but I fully believe that and preach that.
it's a really, really good speech. Like, regardless of what you think of Steve Jobs as like a person, highly recommend it. Yeah.
I'll check it out. And I just so feel that, whenever anybody comes to me like looking for their brand, like I feel like sometimes I've had clients like show up with frustration of like, I'm not just fucking telling you exactly what to do. Like I'm not just giving you the thing. And there is no way to just like figure out the niche or figure out what the work is besides looking back. There it isn't just like creating something out of nothing. It really is like looking back and taking all those little pieces. And I really feel that in myself too. Just like I was already creating online communities when I was fucking 12. I was like pretending to be
Right.
14 with a stoner community and like like I was the class president, like hosting dances, hosting events, having to get people at events and like bring people into things. And, I was a mentor in high school for younger kids and like just all of these crazy things. I started like a freaking specialty floor at college where it was like the spirituality floor. We got to like live in a separate part of campus and like have our own dinners and have a spiritual events and like it was just, it was just so crazy. And I'm like, of course I would be doing this shit. And, being the live journal, MySpace, Tumblr, layout creatrix, like all of these things. And I just feel like following our, child selves, our teen selves, our young selves, they have all the wisdom we need to create what we're wanting to
Totally.
create in the
Yeah,
world.
that and I think that's one thing that really makes your work different from other like business coaches and business mentors whose spaces I've been in, is that there's there's no copy paste, right? You're not saying, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to take my business plan. Here's all the templates. You just fill out your information in it, just change the voice a little bit, and then just go and it's going to work for you. No, it's not, right? It's you can't copy paste somebody else's business into your life and expect for it to work. And so you're making people do more work. So I can see that some people are going to get a little upset about that. But what you're going to get out of it is actually a business that is what you like. It's your authentic vibration, your authentic like radiation, instead of being like trying to cosplay as like a copy paste version of somebody else. So yeah.
Okay, I love that you said that, and you just answered, basically some of my last questions, which is like, you mentioned being in other spaces before, other business, programs. Like, yeah, if there's anything else you want to share about like what makes this space distinct and like how would you describe it to a friend? What do you think makes this space different? And like, so I have three questions in one, and then like, what type of person do you feel like would be the best fit for this place and maybe who wouldn't fit? So a bunch of them. Let's just start with like what makes it different and what do you think it is? What do you feel like it is?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think yeah, like I just said, the biggest thing that stands out is that you're helping people figure out who they are, whether that's through the archetype lens or whether that's through, the deeper work and the shadow work that's necessary to be able to even show your face on social media. Um, it's never about here's what I'm doing, do exactly what I'm doing. And that is probably like 90% of business owners or business mentors on the internet are just like, here's exactly what worked for me. And, being an astrologer and a human design and a Gene Keys nerd, like you've got different gates than I do. You have different definition. Like your business plan is not going to land the same way in my system as it does for you, right? It's just not. And so, yeah, it's refreshing that you're not trying to tell people, okay, here's how you become me, just copy paste. Um, I think people who step into your spaces, especially more advanced spaces like Client Siren, need to be pretty self-aware. Like you need to know, maybe you don't necessarily need to know what you're trying to do, like what your offer needs to be, but you do need to know who you are, what your boundaries are, what your no's are, especially like what's not in alignment for you, um, and be willing accept the transformation, like be open to changing and be willing to let go of whatever it is that you think you're going to do,
Mm.
so that the real work can come through, right? Because a lot of that was just like I've been struggling with this over the last couple months. Like I've been like I had a membership and my journal subscription crew, and I was really like limping along with them. I was just, I had 4 people signed up and I was getting $177 a month from it, right? And I was just like really just like trying to like, and I was pouring my heart into these newsletter issues every month and stressing over whether it was good enough to justify the cost for people. And then one person was just like, you know what, I'm done. Like, thanks, it's been great. Like in my subscription. And then I was just like, okay, I've got 3 people now. That's a sign from the universe. It's time to let this go. As much as I enjoyed it, you have to be willing to let go of the things that are not working in order to make room for the things that are. So,
That's such good advice. Such good advice. And I think my last question is just, I mean, and maybe you just answered that too, is what would you tell someone who is thinking about it? They're on the fence. And yeah, what advice would you give to that person?
um, I would say that you really have to sit with a decision and see how it lands in your own body. Not to, if it's going to create scarcity and if it's too stretchy financially, then not this time. It'll come back around. But if you have the financial security and the ability to make it as like a, to just go for it, be ready to let go of some things that you thought you were, be ready to accept the transformation, and go in with your eyes open, and yeah, you will be surprised at who you come out on the other side.
I love that. Thank you so much. And um, is there anything else you want to share about it, about your experience, about the last months? And then how can we find you, your software? Like, yeah.
Yeah. um I think that's I don't think there's anything else that really wants to come through right now. Yeah, Interamnia is interamnia.io. And that's the handle too, at interamnia.io on Instagram and Threads. We have a presence on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube as well now, but not primarily Instagram and Threads. If you check out the sales page and you're ready to go, then you can just jump in. If you would prefer to have a demo one-on-one, you can schedule that with me. For the time being, I will probably be ending the one-on-one demos for people very soon because, I could just record a demo. But I also have I have office hours coming up next week. That's kind of filling up fast. I didn't cap the membership for that, and I probably should have because it might be too many people. And yeah, and my personal Instagram and Threads is at Cosmic Abundance, so that's kind of where I just posted my own stuff. So if you want my opinions on Star Trek or capitalism or yeah, my yelling about human design, that's where to find me.
I love it, y'all. Go sign up. I've been just like a lurker a little bit in the back end, and it is really beautiful. And um, I just love how different it feels. And I just love that it's created by a real person. And yeah, I'm so excited for what you created and how far this can take you. And thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you.